So let me begin with, a little bit of an introduction so you can understand where is that I am coming from. Um, I I am one of the founders of a project that we called Homo Disruptor. It's a project that is an interdisciplinary project, inter-university and international project. We're a group of scholars who are concerned about what is going to happen with with basically where is that we are evolving as a species. There are some philosophers now that are beginning to speak about post-humanity. It's a very scary statement. It's meaning that humanity is basically as we know it is dying. So, and technology has a lot to do with this. Um, the few of the universities that are in this project are related to biology, especially to the research of cancer. This is where the study of complexity is really born. And lately MIT came with this idea that I want to incorporate something to share with the younger audiences. So MIT is also in this in this mix. We have with them it's a series of lectures that are well, we name them governance in complexity. So I am going to talk about a little bit about this. What does it mean to have governance in a complex environment? So um, complexity, as its name states, is not an easy subject. Is something that by definition gets out of hand. So my objective here is I am not going to offer you a simple solution. My idea is more to open your minds. Especially, it's funny because I see here two generations, and you will see why this makes sense as we go on. And but I'm especially concerned with this side. I am not sure if you are aware of where is that you are, or where is that you are getting into. It's so my goal is basically to offer you a lens, a wider lens, on what is complexity and what is complicated. I know that this side of the room understands complicated, right? And so to give you an idea, that's too soon. And I'm going to try to introduce you a concept of complexity, very simplified. I'm running the risk of oversimplifying something that goes way deeper, but just for us to have, a departing point. So, for example, if you ask me, "Can you drive this car?" I mean, I will probably say yes. Yeah, I know how to drive. I learned when I was young how to drive with a stick, and the car looks a little bit scary because it's a racing car. But if you give me, the basics, where can I turn it on? Where are the switches or whatever? Probably after a while, I'm going to be able to drive it. It's at the beginning, I'm going to be jumping probably or whatever, but I will get from point A to point B. Now, if you change the question, can you race this car? Mm, Then we'll say, well, what do you want? I want you to race. I want you to win the race for me. I don't know, because there's one variable that is being introduced here, and is speed. Right? We know that when you're traveling at high speeds, you cannot see the road. The faster you go, the less you see the road, and the less time you have to react. So, in order for me to be able to race a car, I need to know, like, how to deal with the forces that are going to be there in the car when I am getting into a curve. What, how is it going to feel? The faster I go, the less time I have to react. Well, welcome to your life. That is exactly what is going on. One. side of complexity. One of the main variables of a complex environment is speed. You will see how is that this relates. Now, driving a car is complicated. If you give me enough time to practice, I'll probably be able to race a car. But I need to practice, I need to get reps, and I need to figure out how to deal with these forces, speeds, and things. Um, if you want me to win the race, eh, that's going to be a little bit more complicated. I'll probably choose the younger of this side and say, well, let's give it, yeah, well, yeah, let's give it a try. She knows how to drive fast, I guess. So, if you're into race cars, you know that there are going to be a team of engineers that are gathering information about the environment, information about the car, information about the people who are competing, and they are going to be sharing that information in real time with you. And you are, as you are driving, you are also going to be sharing information with them, right? So the more information you have at high speed, make it more complicated to to make a decision. You don't have time to reflect. So you have either to trust, you have to trust the information that they are giving you, and they have to trust your abilities. So that is a second variable that is going to be very important in a complex environment. Still complicated. We're not getting into complexity yet. I mean, there are only one, two, three, four, five guys getting information. I am sharing that information with them. I think we still can handle it. What is the point of getting information? Is that we know now that modern race cars have all these thingies to set up the car and get more speed. Remember, the idea is to win a race. So what I want is to increase the probabilities of winning. Right? I want to just to remark. I'm speaking about probabilities. That is going to be crucial in a complex environment. There's a lot of uncertainty. So it's my uncertainty is going to be dealt with this information. So far, this if you see this as a system, it's a complicated system. Right? My generation understands this very well because the complication can be dealt. I mean, if I feel that I am losing control, I can slow down. If there is too much information that is coming from my team, I can always say, well, uh, keep it, keep it low. I need to concentrate. But what would you think if I tell you that by the way that I set up the car, I can trigger an economic meltdown? Who's with me? It seems that it makes no sense, right? How can that be? I mean, I'm racing a car. What is that this has to do with economics? Or like I usually ask my students the first day in my mass media class, have you ever been responsible for someone taking their life? And everybody's like, no, 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 no. How? He said, I'm a good person. And then my next question is, how do you know? Is, well, I am talking about complexity. What is complexity then? If you see the whole system, as I was saying, is just the idea is to win a race. Now, change this idea of a system for yourselves. Now you're the system. What happens with this system when it begins? Oh, my email. What is this? When you begin to exchange information at a very fast pace with a medium that you don't control. Call it internet, call it whatever. Is you are throwing a lot of information especially let's say that the race is being transmitted online real time. So lots of people are going to be watching whatever it is that I do. And there's where I can get the connection with the economic meltdown. So what happens next is there are systems in the dark that are watching whatever is going on there through the same medium. So let's imagine that by setting up the car, I am triggering or poking one of these systems. Let's say that it's a betting system. It's and then the betting system for some reason has a lot of money there and is chained to some other systems in the dark. And then we have an economic meltdown. Yeah. But let me get you an example that lands closer to home. Imagine that you have $1 million is- and you want to invest it. And I am your financial advisor. I like money, I can move it for you. And we are 2 months away from the pandemic. I know that the pandemic is coming because I know that is my job. And you come to me and ask, where can I put my money? I want to produce, I mean, the biggest amount of the biggest return in the less time. And I tell you, well, you know, pandemic is coming. So my advice is for you to invest in toilet paper. Yes, buy toilet paper company, company shares. Yes. I mean, you will fire me. And now we know that the first thing that happened during the pandemic was that toilet paper companies were making a lot of money. Do you see how the systems in the dark emerge? This is a complex environment. The problem is uncertainty. And the problem is that we are sharing a lot of information at a very fast pace. We cannot control it and we cannot react. It just happens. It's just all of a sudden we have emergencies everywhere that are getting out of control, and that is your reality today. The more you share in the internet, the more complex your future gets, and uh, and that is a problem because when you lose control of the car, if you're lucky, you are going to finish the race, but the probabilities tell that you are going to be in trouble. So what then? You might be thinking is like, well, this is happening now. Problem is that going back to the question, have you ever been responsible for someone taking their life or some really happening? You will say no. But then I can ask you, have you ever shared something that, well, I mean, was not with the intent of bullying anyone, or it was just it was a meme, it was a joke, it was something that was a little bit improper or racist or whatever, but it was funny. Well, who are the systems in the dark that are receiving that information? It's that is a problem, and that has some ethical implications. So our ethical practices are changing. Our morals are more demanding today because of the tools that we have. But I will get into that. Now, I want to change gears a little bit here. And this, you're going to understand why is I find it fun to have two generations divided because I will begin. I mean, my idea is for you to understand where is that we come from and what is going on. So if you can see, this is a 1960s guy. Is has his Converse, blue jeans, varsity jacket. It's my generation. Okay, think about this, especially this side. When you think about your parents, and when you think that you don't understand your parents, well, there are very clear reasons why. The first one is that the main axis these of these guys was family. All my information came from my family, my values, my morals, my beliefs. Is it was going to be, I mean, probably mom or dad telling me, be careful with this. You should behave in this way. You should do this. This is a way to success. You should study. And we know the whole tale, right? Then the second one that was extremely important in this generation was school. This was where we practiced our moral and ethical values, our social values, and it was not bi-directional like it is today. It was basically to confirm what my mom and dad were telling me. There was not such thing in especially in lower levels of the school, a teacher telling me, "You are free to challenge your parents." Hmm, why? It's like that. It makes no sense, right? So the system was, in a way, I mean, the social system was, in a way, designed as it is. The other one is church. The church was the place where we gather socially with people with like-minded values. Okay, so it ended up like forming the foundation of our morals, our social interactions, and our faith. It was uh, it was a very cohesive social structure, especially in places like U.S. and Canada, where churches play, I mean, still play a big role in social interactions, in social cohesion. It's like, for example, I live in West Vancouver, and around my house, in less than 2 kilometers from my house, there are at least five churches with of different denominations. So it tells you a little bit of the story. And in all these churches, something is going on. Is young generations are not attending. You will see why. So when I wanted to communicate, we had one little piece of technology like this. This is a very singular piece of technology because it, I mean, I can tell you like how it was displayed in my house. It was in the middle of the living room. So if I was to call someone, everybody at home will know. My siblings, my mom, my dad. If I was calling the girl that I met yesterday, hmm, mom will be like, who's that girl? Or there was accountability in everything that we did. We were under the eye of family, school, and church. Even if we were communicating remotely, the phone has also was demanding because we had to remember codes. We had to remember numbers. How many of you know your your TCP/IP number? That sounds even dumb, right? To us, who needs it unless you are an IT guy? Well, we knew all of our TCP/IP numbers if we wanted to communicate with our friends. Or let's say that you went, I mean, to a bar last night, and you meet the girl of your dreams. If you have bad memory, the girl of your dreams is gone. So, how many phone numbers do you know today? Yes, if you ask me, I know mine and my house, but I don't even know my wife's phone number. So, because we don't practice, so our cognitive abilities are decreasing. And that is one of the main concerns of your generation. For the first time, we are delivering a generation that has less cognitive abilities than when we were young. And that is very concerning. And that has to do with complexity. Let me move on. If you wanted to communicate with someone at a distance, well, calling by phone was super expensive. So you would write a letter. So I remember when I was 13 years old, I was sent to study in a college in Oregon, and my mom told me, "I want you to write me a letter every week." So wrote a letter every week, and it took 2 weeks to get her. So she was 2 weeks behind my happenings. Unless there was an emergency, I had permission to call and ask for. So that's an emergency of a teenager. So what does writing requires? It requires you first of all to explain to yourself what is that you want to communicate. You need to understand the concepts. You need to be clear, and you need to understand the message that you want to deliver. That means that your brain is working different areas that you don't work when you are communicating with emojis or with photos. It's, photos only communicate relationships. And we are fascinated by relationships. It's easy. I don't need to explain anything. So if you find it difficult to express your feelings, it might be that you are communicating, too much images. You're not reading enough. You're not writing enough. So here is our gas pedals. About mid 60s, the TV came in, and we began to experience information at distance, and we were increasing our it became from complicated to even more complicated. It's not complex yet. There were probably only 4 or 5 channels, so you still can manage what was coming in and out, censor if there was something improper, or even verify the truthfulness of what was coming out of the screen. But the fact is that we were fascinated by the images. For the first time, we were able to see at distance what was happening at the other side of the world. With a little bit of a problem is it was curated, it was manipulated, it was uh, it was a reality that was designed to communicate something. If I didn't want to communicate the whole thing, I just cut it off. Aristotle used to say that the sense that gives you more information about anything is sight. And when I say information, I say it in in the in the sense of the Latin expression, which is informare. It's informare is inform, give form. It's like a potter that is give informing clay into a pot. Well, these things and every single image that you look at is informing you in a way. It's informing your beliefs. I mean, giving form to your beliefs, giving form to what is that you should want, giving form to very important complex, I mean, important concepts like truth, beauty, and goodness. What is beautiful? It's like, well, you might be thinking on Margot Robbie and Barbie. She's aesthetically beautiful, but that is not beauty. So we have a problem here on the terms of manipulation. Wait, just remember, TV is the first experience that we have into complexity. Now, why is it? This is not changing. Okay, when you wanted to learn about something or getting more information about something, you will go to read the book, read the papers. Again, your brain is being triggered in different ways. If you want to read a book, you need to be able to follow a story for a long time. Right? These The problem is that today we change all the time. Is we cannot concentrate for a long time in a story. The other part is that our creativity is being damaged. Is if you read, for example, Cyrano, how is that Cyrano looks? Well, I don't know. You will have each of you will have a Cyrano and a Roxanne. Ah, but I saw the movie. So now I know how he looks. Cyrano is a tiny guy, and Roxanne is a blonde, white girl, a little exuberant. Uh, You see the problem? I don't need to imagine anymore. My creativity is being, I mean, is under attack. So this is what is happening now. So I go back to these guys was accountability, but most of all, we understood cause and effect in a linear direction. If you do this, something is going to happen. If you behave well, you are going to have a reward usually. And we have enough time to manage complicated. I mean, we can increase our complications or decrease our complications. We were not asked by the environment to accelerate we didn't have FOMO. That is a new expression, which actually makes is pointing out to this fear of missing out, right? Like missing out. Uh, I I challenge you to try to classify how many important but really important messages you get in your phone a month, and I don't think that there are a lot. But anyways, so you see, this is where we are coming from. This is a generation that helped us to be where we are. Now, here is where we are now. I'm jumping a lot of years forward. As you can see, man, the guy has the jeans torn, his Air Jordans, and he looks cool. Well, this is the main change. We are switching the axis of this guy from family to a myriad of systems in the dark. Who are you talking with? Is that person or that system reliable? Is it a person or is it a bot? Is what are the intentions behind the information that I'm receiving? Oh, it's an influencer. Well, this is the main problem. I remember when I was a kid, my mom, if I wanted to go out to the park, my mom will always repeat the same. Don't talk to strangers. Don't receive anything from anyone that you don't know. Don't get inside a car or a house or whatever of someone that you don't know. And probably you hear the same, right? With a little difference is they cannot control who are you talking with, who are you following, where is that this information is, what information are you receiving. The average age, especially in girls, where they are open to uh, this portal is 13 years old. That is very young, very immature. So think about this. What happens today if I am curious about marijuana? Hmm. I go to my friends. Have you tried? Oh, man, yeah, it's cool. Haven't you? So, will you go to your dad? Say, Dad, I want to smoke marijuana. Like, what's going on with you? Why? Some people, I know some people that might do it, but still, the most will keep it quiet. So accountability is gone. We do things in the quiet, especially things that are related to our deep intimacy. Is if my body's changing here, I will go to mom or dad. Like, "Hmm, what's going on?" and mom and dad will come with the bees and the honey tail and whatever. Now, if I am changing now, where is that I get the information from? Some influencer. If if I feel like I'm fat, I found this horrible website not so long ago, where there were influencers telling, especially young girls, how to get rid of food. And like saying, you don't have to stop eating; you just have to learn how to get rid of food. We have a problem with this? It's unleashed. You cannot control it. I mean, via the legal system, is too complex. You see, there are too many. Is we as parents we cannot be our kids all the time to see what is that they are looking at. It's too complex. So then it's on you. It's an act of rebellion. It's you know that rebellions usually happen when there's an oppressor, until the oppressed gets fed up and say, "Well, it's I we have to get together and fight the oppressor." We have an example in Minneapolis. It's happening there because it's going too far. Well, the problem with technology is for the first time we are volunteering to be oppressed. The only ones that can actually rebel against the oppression of technology is you. It's it's the way it is right now. Now let me uh, continue. Is family still has a star because when is that you go to your original source of information? Well, I can tell you in my case with my kids, I have two boys. Whenever they are in trouble, I don't know anything about them until, oh, Dad, I had an accident and the car. Well, the car is destroyed, total loss. And but it was no, it's just a little bit. Uh, 2 months later, another one, the same boy. So, but that is unpa- so. But you see, we still go. We understand the cradle of the security bucket that family is still. School, school has a question mark because yeah, I mean, we go to school, we practice our social skills there, but school for the first time give us guidelines on how to live, and that is a problem because sometimes it even challenges family. It's I was scandalized by this. I mean, by the fact that the kid at school can identify as whatever, and the parents might be, I mean, oblivious of what is going on because the school is protecting the kids. That's a total disaster. I don't know if you are able to see it. Is we're poking a very dark system there because nobody knows what is coming, right? And there is no. I mean, we're losing the protection of the school. Church, church is struggling because all this information that comes from media is about me. What is I should? What is I should need? Everybody wants to be rich. This is something that I toy a lot with in my classes. I ask my students, it's like, I am the genie in the bottle. I will grant you anything that you want, and I know what you want. And everybody, yeah, I want to be rich. But when you ask why, Aristotle is very clear about that. There's something that you cannot stay away from, and is to try to be happy. Because being alive is about trying to have a good life, and the relationship between richness and beauty and power to is supposed to make us happy. Who think that Donald Trump is a happy man? I don't see a happy man there. I see a very troubled man with delusions of power, but he cannot stop. So when this happened, I imagine sometimes um, our times like people floating in their own individualism, in their own little world. So if you're floating that way, it's okay because I accept everything. And some others are floating that way, and all of us are very anxious, is because we're not accurate. We're losing sense of where is the ground. And one institution that has helped, I mean, grounding humanity since it was formed is the church. So if you lose the church, we are lost in our own individualism. There's nothing. It's just like Nietzsche, uh, said is like enjoy your life because after you die, you die. There's nothing. So do whatever you want. Like, well, no, it's not the way that it works, right? So let me continue a little bit. Is now if you want to communicate, you can do it in the silence of your own conscience. And you have a myriad of apps, and each of these apps has a different set of values and culture and the way that you can communicate. So it makes it complicated. If you want to, write something more formal, usually people my age have at least three email accounts, right? One for the junk, one personal, and one for work. I cannot imagine how many accounts you have, but I know my kids, and this is where the problem hits the complex. Is you are informed now not by books or reading or not even intentional findings. Sometimes you have a ton of streaming services, each one with an agenda that is going to give you different relationships. So I don't know if you have ever wondered why is that small girls usually want to dress as princesses? What is so appealing? I have boys, so I but I can see my nieces and they want to be princesses. Why is that? What is the relationship? Huh? It's because it's a relationship. It's a concept. A princess is beautiful, and if you're beautiful, you are going to attract the prince that by definition is rich and has a white horse. And the prince is never going to be on a Thursday night watching football with his friends. Hmm. Less drinking. No, the prince doesn't drink. He's only thinking about you and he's concentrated in, and you marry the prince and you're happily ever after. Well, where is that? This is Disney concept. This is what Disney sells. And Disney, in my view, is one company that has done transgenerational damage because is once you get married, surprise, surprise, it's happily ever after. Well, yeah, we're happy, but we need to leave, and it gets really really complicated. We need to adapt. This generation understand how to because we were accountable. This generation is less accountable. And since everything is about me, it's easy to break. You know, it's not working anymore between you and me, honey. So we need to go on leave. And you are just going to make your life more miserable. So, well, of course, this guy is remote. When it comes to entertainment, again, you have your personal gadgets. If you want to play with someone else, you call your friend, hook into the internet, and let's play together. But I'm not playing with I'm playing with his avatar. This is my relationship. And his avatar might be a monster or a super good looking girl. I don't know. No, who cares? It's our, yeah, not you. No. But you see, it's against only about me. And if you want to get even more individualistic, you get into VR. If you saw the movie Ready Player One, it's not that far away. I mean, it's not like total science fiction anymore. We are heading that way fast. So if you see this guy lives in a hyper fast environment, meaning that you have no time to reflect. You just react. And how is that you react? Like, no like, is resend, whatever. Little, I mean, pieces of comments. You look good. I don't know, who is that? And it's all about that. There is no substance because you have no time. Otherwise, the FOMO hits you, and you don't want to get into the school where everyone is talking about whatever happened yesterday, and you have no idea, like if it was important. But anyways, this is a problem. It's a complex environment. Once you are hooked into that, you are poking into um, into dark systems. You don't know who's going to you don't know what is that you are feeling. You don't know how is that is going to come back. So this is a little bit of how how I imagine these generations, and I'm getting close to getting a little bit to the conclusions. So I see our generation, this side of the room, finding easy to be grounded. Is newer generations are floating in mythological ideas. What are the mythological ideas? Is that, um, man, being rich is going to make me happy. Being beautiful is going to attract the perfect guy or girl. And owning a stuff is to be successful. And that is going to make me happy. And sorry, but it's not. And the problem is that once you reach that, then you'll begin to figure out that it you might be in trouble. Just follow the lives of people that are extremely rich. Elon Musk. I don't know if you read Elon Musk's biography, you will see his life is a trap. It's a you wouldn't change your life, believe me, for the life of this guy, even with all of his money. So there's some sort of contradiction. And the other problem is that we're floating in this idea that life is about me, right? Is life has to accommodate to my whims, to my desires. And I don't care about the rest. I am very inclusive and understanding until you get into my individual desires. While these guys have to accommodate. There was no other way. And the problem is that we are going really, really fast into AI. AI is killing our brain. And if we delegate decisions into an algorithm, you are going to be losing more than the ability to remember. You are going to lose the ability to think. And that is scary because then you are subject to manipulation. I when David said that I come from IT, yeah, I was able to solve my business because I developed with my company an AI agent. I know this thing from its guts. I know what it can do, but I know also that it can be manipulated. It has a set of directives that the engine has to follow. If you see, I mean, ChatGPT, try try to force ChatGPT into something that is not proper according to the culture. It's like trying to get a fish in the water. It's going to be trying to evade yourself, no? Or the question. Try to ask ChatGPT if God exists. he's going to come with a very ambiguous answer. And well, some people believe, but then no, no, no. I want you to tell me these are the facts. I mean, probably if you corner the thing, it will take you weeks, but it will tell you yes, it is probable that that God exists. But you see, is the problem are the directives. Who is programming this, and why is most important. So let me I mean, these slides are quite populated, so I'll go very fast. So, what are the characteristics of this generation? Stability, institutional trust. There was no fake news. We used to trust our institutions, conformity as a virtue. So, we had to fit in a social role, school, family, and church. Um, the ethic was progress. The work ethic in newer generations is shortcut. I need now anything that is going to give me money or pleasure is worth doing. So my morals are they can bend a little bit if money is involved or pleasure is involved, and that is dangerous. Of course, there was more moral clarity because cause and effect, and we were accountable. Everybody knew what we were doing. This generation, as I was saying, is more floating in mythological ideals. What is a mythological idea? Well, Louis Vuitton, for example. What does Louis Vuitton tells about someone that is like, if you have Louis Vuitton bags, I don't mean any, any bad, but it's, think about what is a Louis Vuitton bag at the end? Like really what it is. It's not a, I know it's a status symbol. I know that, I mean, there are some absurd practices related to, or I find them absurd. If you go to Louis Vuitton to buy a bag, what happens when you pay for the bag? They put it in a box and then full of Louis Vuitton, of course, and papers and this. And then in another bag that is orange and says Louis Vuitton everywhere. Because the whole thing is this mythological idea. When I go out, everybody is looking at me. Oh my, that guy is rich. That guy has a Louis Vuitton. And then I use my Louis Vuitton bag and it's full of LB, 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 because we have to make sure that everybody knows that we are better than them. If you have a Louis Vuitton bag, oh, we belong to the same club. So you have a little bit more respect for each other. It makes no sense. Louis Vuitton is mostly a plastic bag. Mhm. but yeah, but you see, how is that we know that um, all of those relationships of the status or whatever, these are mythologies. And these are mythologies that are basically incarcerating your life, your wishes, because you relate those wishes to being happy. So, identity is a project. It's something that I make for people to like me. Relationships shift from the social interaction face to face to connections. We are in, well, in the middle of the consumer culture. Time is compressed. Is everything is so fast that you don't even realize how to live or when when to live. One thing that I am absolutely convinced that every human being has to answer to themselves at least once in a lifetime is going to be, what the heck am I doing here? What is my purpose? And I can tell you, is not to buy Louis Vuitton. So I don't think that is going to make you happier. This idea of recognition, skepticism towards institutions, because now we know that there's a lot of fake news. We don't trust in anything. It's like, I don't know, and everything should be doubt. We feel very unstable. Everything changes so fast, and I don't have any time to reflect and think and plan. That I am anxious all the time. Pragmatic ethics. This is scary because, as I was telling you, anything that gives you money or pleasure is worth doing it, even if it's not absolutely morally correct. This is the definition of terrible places like OnlyFans. It's pragmatic ethics. Nobody knows. Who's going to know that it's me and I am making a lot of money? I know that is wrong. You want to know? There's a very simple rule to know that something is wrong. Is wrong. If you need to hide, the probabilities that you are doing something wrong are super high. Uh, I mean, it, it's not a general rule. We can find exceptions, but it is most likely. So, um, and of course, all of these problems that we have to in the cognitive aspect, we're losing abilities. We're losing the ability to concentrate for long periods of time. We are getting lazier and lazier and more. I mean, we're always more concerned about our entertainment than to actually be doing something that is worth, because we have no plan. The plan is given by the culture. So, and of course, we're always performing for others. So, let me just get. So, the problem with the network self is that we live in a chronic uncertainty. We're not under control. This is, I mean, this whole bunch of things is just to let you know that we're losing control. That who's in control then? Is the cultural forces. We follow those forces. Fast fashion is, I mean, is clinging into that. Most of media, and this is also scary because it has some complex emergencies. Most media talks to you in negative terms. You are not good enough if you don't have this. You are never going to be beautiful if you don't buy, I don't know, L'Oreal. I mean, even L'Oreal's slogan is because you're worth it. The word worth is related to value. If you're not worth it, then you don't buy it. So all of these concepts are stored unconsciously in our brains, and we follow that culture. So we are in trouble. And well, I told you about the AI guy. So it's everything is outsourced. The Our autonomy is negotiated with an algorithm, and the relationships are becoming hybrid. You don't know who you're talking about. You don't know if you're talking to an algorithm. And well, truth is probabilistic. So let me let me begin to conclude. So what can you do? You say, man, you are a bag of bad news. And you are probably right. Well, my take as a philosopher is go back to basics. Aristotle is always a good idea. Aristotle will help us ground ourselves. How? Well, Aristotle, in very simple terms, in his ethics, says, and this is quite interesting because it's true. Everything in nature, this is a natural rule. Everything in nature is destroyed by either excess of deficiency. Think about this. If you like to drink, how many bottles of wine can you drink? Well, probably two if you're really good. But if you continue, it will end up destroying you. You can become an alcoholic, and then you get into a spiral where it destroys you. The same thing with deficiencies. Well, I am a little bit chubby. Everyone in my family is chubby, but I don't want to be chubby because the model is different. the mythological model tells me that I have to be thin and that. So I I get into some practices to deprive me of food until the deficiency gets hold of myself, and I become bulimic or end up in the eating disorders side of the hospital. That is a big problem in high schools today. So, how can you rebel against this? Well, according to Aristotle, you have to be virtuous. Virtues are going to make a balance. I am not trying to tell you get rid of your technology, but make a rational use of your technology. If you don't make a rational use of your technology, if you don't put limits, then you might end up in an excess. And so, if you put limits and the virtue will be temperance, then it's most likely that you are going to get time to reflect about what is good for you. What is that you are trying to achieve? What is your purpose? What is that you are looking for? Okay. I found these in a conference that another philosopher made, and I found it really interesting. Just for you to have, I mean, a little piece of visual reflection. His idea was like, there's a 18 years old that is going to live 90 years. Each circle is 1 month in his life for the 90 years. You see, he spends a lot of time sleeping, work and school, cooking and eating, driving. Well, if you live in Mexico, driving will be way more. And a lot of time in the bathroom. But the black and white dots, are the time that you will spend actually living. And when I say living, is pursuing your purpose, pursuing what makes you happy, what is worth having. First, you need to know what is worth, because if you don't know, you are going to be spending all of the black dots in front of a screen. These are real numbers. Is in Canada and in the US, the average time that people spend in front of the phone is 8 hours. So when I did the numbers, there was something that was not adding. I thought like, "Man, the numbers are not checking," because these days of these months were days of 33 hours. And I thought like, how? But then I understood. The problem is that we are using our screen time, invading our sleep time, our work time, our driving time. So it's a cancer what we have here. If if you don't put limits into your rational limits into your use of technology, then you are in a complex environment. So how can you and these are the conclusions. It's like, what I mean, what is that you should do if you want to establish limits? Well, smart relationship between screens and devices. Read. Honestly, people, if you don't read at least, give me 100 pages a year please, of a story or whatever, you're in trouble, because you are not exercising your brain enough. Right. And I mean, write your ideas, stories, whatever you want. You don't need to show them to anyone. Just try to explain to yourselves what is that you are trying to achieve. How is that you conceive certain things that are important for you? Is this is going to help you, and this is going to help you exercise your brain. Use your media for the important, and that way you will avoid being used by your media. Don't over rely on AI, because honestly, this thing hurts. Is I used to remember all the phones of my friends and office important numbers. Today, because we have all these gadgets, I just remember mine. So it's real. I don't know even how to. I mean, I don't even know when I was driving here today. At some point, I had no idea where I was. Yeah, and Google began to have a glitch, and then I was panicking because then now what? I am really lost. That is a problem. So the islands of certainty. What are the islands of? What are the things that are certain, that are unmutable, that are never going to change? And by the way, this is a little commercial. This is the title of my book, Islands of Certainty. It's is go back to virtues and ethics. If you behave well towards the others, if you are a good person, the probabilities of receiving the same are enormous. And by the way, this is as old as the hills. Ask this guy that came 2,000 years ago named Jesus Christ. That was what he was saying. It's just love each other and you'll be happy. And people, I mean, and we struggle to do that. But it's truth. I mean, at the end, he was killed because he was telling the truth. But that's another story. It's that is complicated. Socialize without the presence of a device. And this sounds very trivial, but believe me, it's you want to establish a good friendship, sit down with a friend without the phone. Even the presence of the phone in the table is someone else, is telling something to the relationship. There's someone in the middle. And I know that I am sounding probably like your parents. Put that phone away, like, but it's because I mean they care. Figure out your happiness. Is only you know, but figure it out away from the dark systems that are just trying to manipulate you. What makes you happy? What is really that makes your life flourish? Is only you can answer that. And be aware of those white dots. Life goes too fast, too fast. So if you waste your time behind the screen because we are hiding behind the screens, you are losing your life. So yeah, just to I mean, the last one is honestly give faith a fighting chance. I know that is not as popular today, but it is full of truth and it promises something that is worth really, really thinking about. That is hope. Do you know when is that suicidal person actually gets the courage to pull the trigger? When they figure out there is no hope, there's nothing, there's no future, there's nothing. Well, our culture keeps telling us that since there is nothing, you should enjoy everything now, and I will challenge that. It's like, but that is a personal choice. You need to dig into that, and you need to find your own answers. And with this, I stop the torture.